Very big news from the world of genetically modified food. The only study that linked GMOs with cancer has now been retracted, Lewis. Ryan sent me the story via takepart.com, also supporting information from a businessweek.com article. And Ryan said, as most people know, there's a huge organic food movement as well as a movement to label our food, both of which I support wholeheartedly. But I have to admit that those who wish to prove that GMO foods cause cancer still don't have much proof to back up that claim. Of course, it doesn't mean GMO foods do or do not cause health problems. So with inconclusive evidence, many people make their decisions based on belief rather than information. Do you have any thoughts on this? Absolutely. Lewis, we've talked for a while about absolutely we need to label GMOs. Huge campaign from big food corporations to fight against that. They spent a lot of money on that. We've talked about the problems with copyright on crops and seeds and patents and how much of a problem this causes for small farmers. Now, though, we do need to look specifically at this. And the widely publicized study, which was published about a year and a few months ago by Food and Chemical Toxicology, attracted a lot of criticism right away. And that was before it was retracted last week. It was a 2-year study, and it used 10 rats for the research. And it turns out that the species of rat that was used is known to develop cancerous tumors regardless of its diet, basically saying you had a type of rat that could have developed cancers no matter what you fed them. And in addition, your sample size was only 10. And the study has been discredited, Lewis. There is more information. We could dig into more details, but that's the essential important part. Now, some have reached out to me in addition to Ryan, who sent me the story, saying, hold on. The entire discrediting of that study has been funded and supported by big food companies like Monsanto. I was not able to find that information. And the most important thing for me here, Lewis, is the following. Part of being an activist and a progressive is pushing for change and for progress where it is needed. And you have to be careful not to do the same when it is not needed or backed up by science, because it is kind of like the boy who cried wolf. That is the effect. So, Lewis, I'm open to the idea that GMOs are bad for people's health. The most widely cited study that linked GMO consumption to cancer, has now been discredited. So as a progressive, I want to stay in the evidence-based arena when thinking about this.
Right. And I'm sure there are a lot of people trying to figure out if this is harmful or not. But when there's only one study, you have to wonder if it's accurate. And so clearly we have our answer, and it's not surprising to me, but I hope that there are people doing a lot of research on this because it is very important.
If you want to be against GMOs, be against them because you don't like how big agriculture patents crops, patents these GMOs, and makes huge money, sues farmers where one or two seeds may have inadvertently blown into their field and planted and grown, or be against GMOs if they are unlabeled and push for full labeling of GMOs. But we have to have evidence and data. We had Dr. Church on the program sometime in the last year. I don't remember exactly when, 5-6 months ago. And he said there is also not definitive evidence linking GMOs to health issues from their consumption. So we need more studies, Lewis. We need more data, but let's stay progressive on this, which is making our activism relate to the evidence we have. I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, I think that's fair. And who knows, maybe we can find a way ultimately to have genetically modified food that is perfectly safe. I'm perfectly open to that. I think it's possible.